Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm here. I'm here with my buddy Diego, 1/3 of our team today for the 3v3, and he was on Yubel. How are you, Diego?
I'm doing okay, I guess.
Nice. You want to get into it?
Yeah. So I played Yubel today. The type of Yubel deck I played was more of like a Fiend Link Yubel, although we don't have Phantom of Yubel yet, which is hopefully coming out in the battle set. I opted to not play Super Poly, so here's my deck profile.
Why'd you not play Super Poly?
I feel like in this meta, it doesn't do quite enough sometimes. And a lot of things just float. Like Voiceless can float when you remove their monsters by effect. There's the fact that Flameberg floats. And then you kind of have to just clear an entire board, I think, along with super polying it. Like, people have back row now that, like, lets them just keep going or give them follow-up. And, I don't know. And also, Yubel's a deck where, like, you have to be mindful of, like, your hand and just try to keep as much hand advantage as you can. And discarding sometimes with a card like Super Poly doesn't always plus you enough that it's kind of worth it, is what I think I would kind of, like, how I would explain it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so we have one Yubel and then the upgrade. Some people opt to play two. I just opt to play 1 and 1. If you play two, you can get into the rank 10 easier, but you risk the fact of the chance of bricking more. So I just decided to just go with the 1-1, and it was fine. I was still able to make the rank 10 throughout the day. Next up is 3 Spirit. I think 3 Spirit is pretty standard. It's a hand trap. It gets you to your cards that mention Yubel, the spells and traps. And then when it gets popped, you can go into the OG one, and it's not once per turn for that. So it can sometimes help you like avoid being lethal. 3 Lotus. This is your Lone Fire Blossom, and it gets you into Spirit, which gets you into your combo starter. It's basically your 1-card starter, so I mean it's Lotus. It's good. 3 of Squirmer. Some people opt to play 2, but I like 3. It's basically our Shavara for Yubel, so I don't see why you wouldn't play a card that lets you dodge when someone targets your Yubel monster that mentions Yubel. You can special summon it if it's a fiend, if you control a fiend, and then immediately pop it to dodge, kind of like people did with Shavara and Unchained. When it's in the graveyard, you can banish it for cost, and then special a monster that 0/0. Let me double check.
They really named this bitch Squirmer.
Yeah, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Special summon 1 fiend monster with 0/0 attack, so generic for 0/0 fiend from your hand or graveyard. So. Something you can do, which was what I do sometimes if I brick, is I normal summon this, make Almirage, which you'll see in a second, and then if I have a Spirit in hand, if I kind of have a brick hand, I can just banish it to get out Spirit and then start comboing off. So it's good. It does a lot for the deck. The Beckoning Beast package, I play 3 of the monster, and you'll see it later, but I play 2 of Gate. I like 3 because I'm playing Digen Buster, which you'll see later. Some people play 2 and 2 Gate, or some people play 2 this and then 1 Gate. Everyone kind of goes back and forth on the ratios, but I like 3. My kind of main deck tech was 2 Kaiju, because it's a dark, so Nightmare Pain lets you pop it. If it's a dark, you can pop a dark monster and then search for a card that mentions Yubel. So I like that for the fact. And then also, just sometimes you can like remove like an annoying a monster on your opponent's field for spot removal. In testing, I faced Voiceless a lot, and Kaijus don't trigger their ability to special back like a ritual or from the deck if you tribute over it with a Kaiju. Unlike Super Poly, which if you remove them by effect, then they would be able to like special from deck and then kind of rebuild. Low comes back. So yeah, it seemed good. It didn't work out today. I think I would probably switch it out for Fenrir, which I had also tried in testing. And I think I like Fenrir more, but it was okay. Shavara for the Unchained package, and then the the chamber, which you'll see later on. It's good. It's just another way to dodge. It's Unchained for the Unchained engine. So, yeah, it's a good doggo. Hand traps, 3 Ash, 3 Bell, 2 Mourner, 1 Ghost Ogre. The ratios seem kind of weird, probably with the Ogre, but that's because in the side deck you'll see I played Crossout. Ash is Ash. Mourner is kind of for Snake Eyes. This wasn't that great in testing. Some people are hyping it up right now, and it's not bad, but didn't do quite enough. Bell felt better in testing, so that's why I played it at 3 instead of like 3 Ogre. And then we got 3 Nightmare Throne as part of the Yubel stuff. This is great. I don't think you would ever play less than 3. And then the Terraforming just so you basically play 4 copies.
Personally, I love the artwork of this card. They're just chilling.
Yeah.
They're just chilling.
And it's great artwork too, so yeah. The 2 Gate that I was talking about, what's really nice about Gate, especially in Yubel, is that it interacts with Nightmare Pain, which I've played it too. Sometimes you'll have a weird hand where like you want to do Shavara, but you don't want to like pop a monster. So let's say you haven't used this for some reason. You can pop this, which you can use Shavara to pop your set Pain, special out Shavara. If you happen to have like a rank 10 monster, which is usually your Yubel, you can use the effect of Gate to immediately add that back. It's also just good in the grind if like they removed your pains and then you manage to get like that level 10 Yubel out, whether it's OG or Spirit, and then you just get to add this back and immediately activate it so you can keep comboing off. I really like it. It generates like if you open up the Beckoning Beast first, you search this out, then you activate this to search out the next beast. Beast gives you an additional normal of a 0/0 Fiend, and then you go into your link lines and everything. So yeah, I really love this card. It's not necessarily always a starter, unless you decide to play Chaos Summoning Beast, but I really like it. It does what it's supposed to do. And then 1 for 1, 2 Pot of Prosperity, and then Mature Chronicle. This just gets you into Lotus and Squirmer if you need it for some reason. Some people don't like to play this because you tend to need your extra deck. I feel personally like you tend to need your extra deck more if you are playing like the Super Poly version with like 2, 3, or even 1 Super Poly, and then you have like your Super Poly targets. Then I think you wouldn't play Prosperity, but since I'm not playing Super Poly and I'm more of like a Link type extra deck, it was fine just playing this card. I didn't really ever get into a situation where like this kept me from getting lethal, but yeah, if I continue to play like a more Link-based extra deck, I think this is fine.
Why 2 over 3?
Because like, although I just said like you don't need your extra deck as much in my version, it still isn't as good as like opening up gates or the field spell. So rather than just playing 3 and seeing this all the time and like maybe always losing out my extra deck, I just decided to play it at 2 so I see it sometimes rather than all the time. That was just like kind of a personal preference thing for me personally. So yeah. Mature Chronicle, some people don't play it, some people side it, some people main deck it like me. I like this card because it lets you play around Nib and Troll. Because Spirit lets you set Pain or this, sometimes if you go ahead and start out with, if you special out Spirit, you can immediately set it, and then if you already have like Squirmer in hand, you activate the set Pain, pop the Spirit, and then this will be your first search sometimes, and then you can just start comboing off or whatever, and you can kind of hold for the first counter effect of specialing back OG Yubel, so that even if you get Nib, sometimes you can like end on a Yubel and then like Pain after you get nibbed, and then at the end phase, if you had like Lotus and Grave, you can bring that back, tribute the Nibiru token, and then you have Lotus and Yubel on field for like a monster pseudo negate. So I like it. think I would keep playing in the main deck. It didn't ever really like bother me having it in there. And then 3 imperm and then 1 chamber. Chamber, I like chamber over the other one just because the way I like do my combo, I can hold rage engrave and then just use this whenever I want. If they decide to like lightning storm my monsters or something, or if they decide to lightning storm my back row, I can just chain this to get rage out. So I like this better. It plays around super poly better.
Nice. And 40 card list?
42. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And then have Almirage. That's so that if you have gates and then you like normal Lotus, no, excuse me. If you normal Beast, make this, and then if you have Lotus in hand, because gate discards for cost, you can like immediately you can discard Lotus and then immediately bring it back to go into Spirit. So that's kind of what Almirage is for. Rage, Yama for the Unchained package. This because it's the best target to go
For
into.
Rage?
Yeah. Muckracker for utility and like protection. I'll save that for later. Phoenix for utility. Anguish is another option for this to go into, or because I was playing access code that Trinity was letting me borrow to help get into lethal. If your opponent doesn't have any monsters you can crash your Yubels into, you can link with a monster that maybe isn't too big, and then make access code to just start like going in for a lot more damage. Nightmare Phoenix, Nightmare Griffin as just like another utility option. You can kind of, if you have a good hand, sometimes you can end on this in the extra monster zone and then this behind it. Like I said, because I'm not playing the super poly option, I'm playing Princess and Doolittle Chimera. This is something that some of the Yubel community is kind of trying out. You can also play Amblo Whale instead of this, but Chimera gets you out of the fire lock once you use Princess's effect. And you'll get Fiend lock, but since you're playing a Fiend deck, it's kind of better because you might have like a Spirit of Yubel in hand. I won't really go into the combo, but maybe later Trinity wants me to explain it or something. And then, the last extra deck card I was playing, well, not the last one, but the last link was a Appaloosa that I was borrowing.
Nice.
And then for XYZs, it was Daigen Buster, Varudras, because it's like, we're one of the few decks now that has an Omni Negate. And then Typhon for utility and going second.
Sweet. So Varudra is just a Omni if you detach one, but it also destroys the card if you detach two?
Yeah, so if you use the effect to do the Omni Negate, you can then immediately detach another one to pop a card on the field.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. For the side deck, I decided to do 2 Nibiru in the side, 3 Droplet, 3 Cosmic, 3 Crossout, 3 Barrier, and then 1 Anti-Spell.
Why the 1 anti-spell?
Honestly, just kind of for the troll, honestly. Also, just because, like, again, kind of going back to testing, like, I think because anti-spell is at 1, a lot of people feel comfortable sometimes playing, like, these really powerful power spell, normal spell cards. And so, like, on the off chance you see this, and I am playing, like, 2 Prosperity, so I do have slightly higher chance of seeing it. If I do see it, sometimes it just completely, like, wins me the game on the spot. Because no one's really playing for this card, besides, I think, Snake Eyes, because they have the room for it, and because they're playing Crossout sometimes. I know Cam Neal in his, like, YCS winning deck, he was playing 1 in Crossouts, and the reason he kind of explained that was because he didn't want to get anti-spell just by chance, since Snake Eyes plays so many powerful spell cards. And so playing like this and then the crossouts like let him have a higher likelihood of like being able to like not get anti-spelled. And I kind of like took that same idea, or like I kind of like that his theory about that.
How'd you feel about 2 Nib?
2 Nib was fine. Nib is pretty good at times, but then like it's really only great sometimes versus like Snake Eyes. Voiceless doesn't really play into it. Labyrinth is around, it doesn't play into Nib. Kind of blanking on some other big decks. You got anything, Trinity?
No, I don't really like. Maybe like Sword Soul, like rogue decks, maybe, but that's about it.
Yeah, like this is good against road decks for sure. But I feel like and then like Snake Eyes, like I said, like they do get hurt by it, but then like if they have Temple up, then they just kind of play around it anyway, or like they can just play through it. It was fine. In Yubel, it's actually better than some other decks because like if you manage to resolve Nibiru and they had a bunch of monsters, you probably put the token in attack position, which I've done to a friend of ours, and then you just kind of like if you have Nightmare Pain up in a Yubel or Spirit, you just crash into it and you like get lethal out of nowhere. This was pure. Droplet was purely for like branded. This is mostly for
You just didn't want to get puppeted?
Yeah, I just didn't want to get puppeted. Cosmic is just generically really good. There's a lot of decks, like I said, that have like a lot of back row that's important, and it's just kind of spot removal. So yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah. Shout out to my fiance. Shout out to Gokuzemi. Shout out to Easy. Shout out to Trinity YGO. He's like one of the. He only has around like I think 1,500 subs, but he's growing really fast because he's making a lot of Yubel content, and a lot of his like combo tutorials are really really good. He explains them really well. Yeah, just shout out to Yubel too, because I think the deck's just gonna keep getting better, and I'm excited to just keep playing it and improving on it. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, this has been Diego, and this is Gokuzemi signing off. Peace. Have a good one.
See ya.